We have a long history of protecting people and work together to help you and your family achieve financial freedom. I'd like the opportunity to serve you, your family, and farm. I'm Buddy Wilson, your new country financial agent in Clinton.
News time is 8 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Friday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. And the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. The parking lot at Warner Hospital and Health Services is complete, but usage on it will be limited until the spring. That's from CEO Paul Skowron, who indicates it took a while to get to this point, but they are glad to have it complete. Now they will get it striped and await the installation of the electric vehicle charging stations.
Let's remember that this is all part of a two-phase project that is designed to be the entrance to the specialty clinic on the west side of the hospital, so that patients no longer have to go on the lower level and then take an elevator upstairs, walk through the patient area to get to the specialty clinic. So what you're looking at with the parking lot is we are nearing the end of phase one. The parking lot looks great, and as you said, the black fencing, which looks like it's wrought iron, but of course it's really aluminum. What still has to be done is striping and sealing and then striping, but more importantly, lighting. And then the electric charging stations have to be installed. So we're still 30 to 45 days from completing that part of the project. Recall, that is a joint project with Baum Chevrolet, and they have worked with us to provide from Chevrolet itself these charging stations that will allow. It was designed so that our specialty clinic doctors that do have electric vehicles like Teslas and so forth to attract more specialists. But the public will have access to these. So we'll have to manage all of that. Of course, there will be two. It's not a lot, but how many electric cars do you see in Clinton? Not a lot yet, but it's growing. And it's both the specialists, the physician specialists, and the patients that come into town, that will be increasingly using it. So we'll see. I mean, we have zero now. It'll be interesting to see how fast the usage grows once it's open.
The parking lot will not be salted at all to preserve the life of the concrete, Skowron reminds. And again, this is the first phase of a two-phase project on the west side of the facility.
We'll have phase one done, like I say, 30 to 45 days. Now, phase two, the construction for the entrance will be enclosed. That's going to be a ramp. There'll be no more stairs to enter the west side of the hospital. It'll be extra wide for wheelchairs with electric buttons, and it'll be heated and all that, and air conditioned and all that kind of stuff. That process is just starting, and the bids are actually going out tomorrow for contractors to bid on the construction for that project. The architectural work is all done. But now we just start the bid process. Moving forward, again, it's just like the emergency room. It'll be late spring before that part is actually done. And so I don't know that we're going to open the parking lot before that phase is done, because since it's designed for specialty patients and physicians and so forth, we really don't want to promote parking on it and then patterns develop where half of it's being used before its intended use. So it may be a good idea, because as we're getting into winter, to just let the concrete part that's there now that we're just finishing, let it seal properly, let it set for the winter, and then open it approximately at the time when the entrance itself is ready. So we're going to seal it very shortly here. If we're going to plow it at all, we're not going to salt it. We will not salt it this first winter. We will use sand, again, to protect it a longer life.
On the east side of the facility, the emergency room renovations are well underway and making progress, says Skowron.
I've said before, we have one of the smallest ER waiting rooms of the critical access hospitals in the state. So we are just about, we're a week away from opening the new waiting room. So phase one of 3 phases of construction in the emergency room area will be done. There is opaque plastic walls right now that the construction crews have set up, so you can't see inside, but that's going to come down by Monday night. And what you're going to see is an area that's not just more modern looking with colors and floor finishes and things like that, but it's bigger. And so it'll have fall wood finishes on the wall in certain sections of the walls. It'll have glass panels in certain sections of the room. So it's going to modernize the look, first of all. And then it's also going to provide for more room for wheelchairs to be able to easily come in as opposed to the old small room.
Right.
And there'll be sections available for, extra wide wheelchairs. So it's really going to be a better experience for anybody that has to use the emergency room. One should not aspire to be sitting in any emergency room waiting area, but if you have to go, and if you've ever been to Warner Hospital before, you will see a vastly improved experience in usage.
According to Skowron, the emergency room renovation is 3 phases with a completion date expected next spring. He points out they'll be able to benefit from seamlessly transitioning from one phase to the next without having to get state approval.
By Monday, we will be taking down the construction walls, and patients will now have access to, they'll just go across the hallway, but they'll have access to a much larger waiting area. Phase 1 done. So then we shut that wall where the existing waiting area is, and then all the walls of that room will start to be knocked down. And there's been work going on Phase 2 continuously while the waiting area was being constructed, and that additional space was to start framing out the new rooms. So we'll be basically gutting the old waiting area, and it will be part of what's already been working, what already has been going on behind the walls, so that it will be Phase 2, and the new isolation rooms and the new nurse station will begin to be built. And the wall that is now just a solid wall for that waiting area will be a wall that you can see through and see what's going on partially in the emergency room, and be able to talk to a person at a desk that's much larger than the one we have now. The end game is around March and April, the entire project will be done. The good news is that Illinois Department of Public Health will have to come in and certify it when it's done, but they don't have to certify Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3, which allows us to open up the emergency room and actually start using Phase 1 immediately, while Phase 2 and Phase 3 are constructed over the winter. Another nice part of being inside construction is we can work continuously through the winter, no downtime. So we're anticipating by the end of somewhere between March and April of next year, the entire project will be done. Again, the IDPH will have to sign off on it, but they already signed off on the plans to start it. So we're expecting that they'll be as excited as we are.
Skowron explains there has been a lot of shifting of personnel and repurposing of other spaces within the facility over the last several years that has led to this project. Now they can expand the emergency room by knocking down some walls and bringing in more private accommodations for patients.
What folks don't see is that behind the emergency room doors, there is an emergency room area with the beds that we take care of the patients, and then certain rooms for examination and so forth. Behind that, in the old days, there was family medicine. The physicians' offices were back there. They had moved out in 2000 to the family medicine building, but then the business office moved in. Now they've moved out to a separate building out by Tractor Supply. That vacated that space. So we had architects come in and design an expanded emergency room right behind the existing emergency room now. So it's almost double. Actually, it is about double the space that we're going to have. And it's exciting that it's all working out. We couldn't predict exactly what the timing was going to be because we didn't know exactly what the cost was going to be. But the idea was to eventually move out the folks so we have talked in the past about building a new hospital. And when I first met you 8 years ago, that was about $25 million. And now it's about $45 million. The hospital has been profitable in those 8 years. We have no debt. There's no desire by this board or this city to go deep into debt to build a new hospital.
Right.
When we can reinvent what we have, the footprint that we have, and better utilize the space that we have.
The total amount for all the work happening right now will be roughly $3.5 million. Skowron says it beats spending $45 million on a new facility. The annual Farmer City Christmas Parade is this Sunday. City Administrator for the City of Farmer City, Sue McLaughlin, explains the community is very proud of their Christmas parade as it's one of the largest in the area.
Yeah, we're getting excited. We're getting ready for the parade on Sunday at 2 p.m. It'll start up on North Main Street by the county fairgrounds and come down and end on our square. And yeah, it's exciting. We have a lot of entrants. I think I just heard yesterday we got 4 local high school bands that are going to march, and should be a good day.
The Farmer City Christmas Parade falls a little earlier than most, which means city crews have to get out there and start getting those Christmas decorations up and ready early in November. McLaughlin says they've been fortunate to have been blessed with good weather the last few weeks.
It is, and we don't handle that. That's a separate entity, but they always do it the Sunday before Thanksgiving. I'm not sure if it's just a better way to maybe try to get some nicer weather, or people just feel like, let's get it kicked off, so we're good to go after Thanksgiving. Not sure about the thought on that, but for the Sunday before Thanksgiving is when they do it. And that's what we've been doing, is we always get ready for it then, too, is some people who drive around our square may see all our Christmas decorations going up and think it's a little early. But, we try to have it ready for the parade. Obviously, you won't see the lights during the day, but then we feel like, okay, for Farmer City anyway, it's been kicked off, and so then we're ready to go. And we've been trying to take advantage of the nice weather. I know that they've been working on it for a couple weeks. We had an issue, which is unfortunate, that we had new swags that go around all the poles, and almost every swag had lights out. And we just bought them last year. It's frustrating, so that's taken a little bit of time. And then last year we added a bunch of nice displays around our square. We've added to them, so you'll have to keep your eyes out for the new ones. So now there's, I don't even know, I'd have to count them up, but I know we added 3 new ones. And we also had some feedback. We used to have those skylines that kind of hung over the street in downtown. And last year we didn't have any because the old ones had kind of fallen apart. Well, we got new ones, and they're going up this year, and so I think there'll be some happy people about that as well.
According to McLaughlin, the city had quite the saga getting a new tree in its downtown that they hope will become the tree that gets decorated for Christmas in the future. For now, she notes, it will not be decorated this year.
That's been a saga. I don't know if you've followed it, but we had gotten a new tree a year ago, last summer, and it's like 10 feet tall, nice evergreen, and it died on us. And the company agreed to replace it for free. And so we planted it last fall, and it died. We did get through Christmas, but it didn't make it. It ended up dying by spring. And the company actually agreed on a third time. They said, no, we don't normally do this, but we'll give you a third one. So we did just get it planted about a month ago. It's hanging in there, but we were told don't put anything on it this year. And so I wanted to let everybody know that we will not be doing the tree lighting like we did last year. We're going to wait a year, and we may even pick a different date, because last year we did it after the parade. But it's hard for people. As you know, Seth, you're outside, you're enjoying the parade. It might be a little chilly. You go home, kids warm up. They don't want to go back out again. So we might pick a different date, to try to get, more people to attend. But we're going to discuss that for next year, but there won't be one this year.
The Farmer City Christmas Parade is again at 2 o'clock on Sunday in Farmer City. The holidays can be a time of extravagant foods, elaborate, and plenty of sweet treats to pass around for weeks on end. And as we embark on the holiday season, a national nutrition expert has some tips on how we can manage the food we eat and try to maintain that healthy diet we've been conquering.
I think you got to go in with a plan. The first thing you do is, when you're going to a holiday party, eat before you go. Because if you eat before you go, you're kind of full. If you go hungry, everything that's on every tray is going to be obliterated by you. And I know people that are listening feel that. It's like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. I'm going to eat, 3 of those little cookies. And wow, they got that piece of cake. And over here, they got, it just, they got the party mix, the holiday Chex mix. I'm grabbing handfuls at a time of that. And then you get to the end of the night and you're looking for the Tums jar, right? Like, where's the big jar of Tums? So I think eat before you go. I would also have a plan. Like, and you make a plan and say, I'm going to have no more than 2 different sweets at this party. Because just being realistic, people are going to try 1 or 2 sweets, right? I mean, you're not going to just go in there and go, oh no, none for me. If you're diabetic or something, it's probably different. Hopefully you're making better choices. But the bottom line is most people will overdo the sweets. 1 cookie becomes 2. You kind of had a stressful day. You don't like even numbers, so now all of a sudden you want a 3rd cookie. And after you get to the 3rd cookie, you think, well, I always mix my cookies just like I like mixed drinks, so I'm going to go over here and have a piece of cake. And you want to avoid that behavior, right? So you make a deal with yourself of this is what I'm going to allow myself to have, instead of thinking that you have to deprive yourself, right? That's one of the biggies. And then you have to keep in mind that it's not the last time you're ever going to get to eat something.
That's Dr. Jim Lavelle, author of Cracking the Metabolic Code and the Integrative Medicine Program Director for the NFL Hall of Fame Health and Performance Program. He also points out committing to not eating at all leading up to a holiday event is not a great idea.
And I'm telling you, when people eat before they go into their party, they have their dinner or whatever it is, it's an afternoon party. Make sure you eat your lunch, that you're relatively full and satisfied, and that makes a big difference because you're not going to be starving. Because a lot of times people think, hey, we're going to a party, there's going to be all kinds of food there. I'm not going to eat all day. How many times have you heard that, right? I'm not going to eat all day because of the party. It's going to be a lot of different food there. Just like a big grill out, right? I'm not going to eat all day, so we go to that. And then you end up overeating because your blood sugar's off and your brain's telling you, my God, please feed me. I haven't had any nutrition all day, right? And you're eating, and before you know it, you're eating past being full. So it's really important to set a plan, to have something before you go in.
Dr. Lavelle adds you can give yourself some grace to enjoy the food at a party, but keep in mind the next day the party's over and it's time to get back to the healthy habits you've established.
Give yourself the grace to enjoy the event, but tomorrow the event is over. So tomorrow you get back on the plan of, hey, I'm going to not eat sugar. I'm going to count my carbs through the day. I'm not going to have more than, say, 60 or 70 grams of carbs from grains a day. Eat all the vegetables you want. And I'm going to try and move again, right? And that's kind of, I think if you start to do that, it starts to create more control for yourself throughout the course of the year. Like, hey, I know Friday we're going out and everybody's going to this great pizza place. I'm going to stay pretty good on my diet until Friday so that I can enjoy going to the pizza place, and not feel guilty.
Dr. Lavelle is an internationally recognized clinical pharmacist, author, board-certified clinical nutritionist, and expert and educator in integrative and precision health. He's worked with athletes across all sports and has worked with sports franchises like the Chicago Blackhawks and St. Louis Cardinals. News time, 26 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Friday. We've got a little more to go here on the WHOW Morning Show.
Looking for Chevrolet inventory? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. We have the all-new Chevrolet Trax, Blazer, and Trailblazers coming. Plus, several Chevrolet Equinoxes and Traverses are here. This month, take advantage of extra $1,000 trade-in assistance on your trade. There's always a need for quality trades here at Baum's. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
News time, 27 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Friday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. Shotgun hunting season for deer starts this weekend, and if you're still looking for a place to hunt, Mike Weafer with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources says go to the DNR website. There you can look for open public hunting lands, and you can see how hunters did there the year before.
Also on our IDNR website, we have the public hunting areas reports. So you could go look up a site you're interested in and see what their deer harvest and what their hunting effort was the year before, which is kind of a way to dial in and get an idea of a feel for how crowded a site might be or how successful you might be. I personally hunt sites that are maybe low harvest, but also low traffic, just because I'd rather just have my space and chill rather than have a lot of action and have a lot of neighbors.
Weaver says if you are hunting a state site, you have a few things to remember.
So often the regulations are a little bit different between sites and then different than statewide rules. Like, for example, some sites you can leave your tree stands up all season. Some you have to pull them out every night. So it's good to kind of read up on the regulations on the site that you're choosing to visit. And then also many of our sites require the online windshield card, where you need to register prior to going to hunt on the site and display a printed piece of paper that shows that you've signed up to hunt on the site.
Now that this is the firearm season in Illinois, while in the woods, hunters are required to wear blaze orange. The first weekend of the firearm season for deer runs through Sunday. News time is 29 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Friday. Coverage of news is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Coming up on 7:30 on this Friday, we take a look at network news. Following the network, we take a look at network sports, and local sports comes your way. It's the semifinal round of the high school football playoffs. We've got a preview of the local games coming your way. Also previews of the college footballs as Illinois State, Eastern Illinois all in action this weekend. And a former Illini great returns to the State Farm Center tonight. That story's next in sports.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. A 19-year-old Israeli soldier and a 65-year-old